the goal is not to get somebody to go down to the bottom of the page and say, you're right, I want a VA. Here's what I want. Here's my credit card details. Let me know when you found the VA for me. It's to get a phone call. So you've got to remember, what is the next action that your website is selling? And if your website is selling a phone call with you to get a VA, you might not need every single detail.
Hey guys, it's Linh Podetti here, helping you to achieve time freedom so that you have more time for self, family, business, and life. Now, in today's interview with a friend of mine who is also based in Sydney, Australia, with 22 years of experience in copywriting, Stephen Lewis is sharing with us some key important things you need to know to write copy that sell. Because at the end of the day, there's no point in bringing traffic to your website and yet you can't convert those into leads and even into qualified leads. So in this interview, you're going to learn what is the component of a great landing page, how to write copy so that people would actually make a phone call or inquire with you, and how to do that research, how to make sure that you do the homework so that you're not just writing for the sake of writing, but writing something that actually sells. Hi everybody and welcome. This is Stephen Lewis, who's a friend of mine who I've known for over a year in a little community on LinkedIn. And he's actually based in Sydney, and I wanted to ask him and pick his brain around copywriting, because I have come to the position where I'm like, there's better ways to optimize. It's like the first one thing I want to ask you is even around how to use copywriting to qualify the right people in, because sometimes as a business, as you grow, it's not even in the how to get these leads to call, it's how to get the right leads to call. So welcome, Stephen.
Thanks, Lynn. Good to be here.
Thank you, Stephen. So yeah, the first question I have for you is, okay, and I want to make this into really practical and even asking from based on my own challenge is, yeah, with copywriting, like how do you make it so that you're actually bringing in people that are more ideal and you're not wasting time talking to people that aren't ideal? Because I mean, it kind of feels nice to be getting a lot of leads in, but then you realize to the point that you actually spend a lot of time with the wrong leads.
As a copywriter, I should immediately go to the writing, but part of it's going to be how it looks when they get there, because you're going to form an immediate impression. So if you land on the JB Hi-Fi page, for instance, it looks cheap. The site looks cheap. The font looks cheap. The font looks like somebody's written it themselves and stuck it up in the window of their store, sale on, this is cheap, buy that for $49. There's an energy to that site that says this is cheap, it's fast. You go to the David Jones website and it's going to be slow and it's going to be elegant. And that's stuff that you would do in your writing as well. Like if you're writing a website, for instance, and you want people who've got money, this is a terrible example, but just to illustrate the point, you could be saying, you know what it's like when you pull up in your Mercedes outside the Louis Vuitton shop and nobody comes out and parks your car for you? If I don't have that kind of money, I A, don't know what that feels like, and B, understand that you're not interested in talking to me and my Hyundai i30 driving self. It's that kind of thing, and the other way round as well. So if you find subtle ways to do it, because your copywriting should be talking about your client's problems, and your client's problems are not going to be the same as the person who's not the good quality person.
Gotcha. So this comes down to when you mentioned the problem or the objection, that means that you really need to research, like how do you go about in really finding that problem and not being so vague?
The client often knows a lot more than they think they know, right? So, in your case, for instance, it's entirely possible that people have had experience with outsourcing before. And so you're identifying, what their problems are, right? They've had somebody who was unreliable or who disappeared and they could never get hold of them, or didn't do good quality work, or whose English wasn't good, whatever those problems are. And then you start writing to those problems, and then that is building that connection with the person that you're writing to. So many of the websites that I look at are just generic. I'm a financial planner, you have money, therefore we should get together.
Yeah.
So you're not showing me that you understand, you're not showing me what it's going to look like. In your case, for instance, if you want to get the kind of person who's willing to invest properly in a relationship with somebody, like they're not looking to treat somebody like a battery chicken in a cage in the Philippines. They want a member of their team, somebody who feels good, working for them and enjoys it and is going to stay, then you start talking about those things. And that is going to have the person who's like, no, you don't understand. I want to pay somebody $5 an hour. I don't care anything about them. And if they disappear tomorrow, I'm not even going to wonder where they are because I'm going to replace them with the next person. But when you start talking about your process and this is how we do it, the right person will be thinking, my God, that sounds fantastic. I can see how you're going to get me exactly the right person. And the wrong person is going to be thinking, oh my God, that's way too time consuming. And that's going to be expensive because I'm going to have to pay you to do that. That's going to be more than $5 an hour. And you start sorting people. And what I like about copywriting is that that's better for everybody. As you've already said, it's better for the business owner that they're not talking to the wrong people. And it's better for the wrong people to know that they're the wrong people and go and find the right person for them. So everybody wins when you clearly express what you do and who you do it for.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. And I thought that I did the good job of like putting out like, oh, we're a social enterprise and we do this. But I guess the copy doesn't flow because if I compare my website to your website, for example, I find that it's almost storytelling. It's almost like I'm reading the pain point and the solution, but it kind of blends. And then you even use the testimonial to, incorporate into the copy rather than I might have a bottom section that says, these are all my testimonials. It's a bunch of them, go through them, but it kind of doesn't relate. So what would you say the components of what it makes a good homepage of your website? Like what needs to be at the top? What needs to be,
Maybe less a homepage. I mean, let's think about a services page, right? Because your homepage is often just a sorting thing saying, hey, I sell burgers, I sell chips, I sell drinks. Which one do you want? And then you go off. But let's say you're now on the services page. The elements of a good services page are a headline that says what it is that you do. So lots of people want to get really cute and, leverage the power of other people to grow your business. No, I provide virtual assistants, for instance. Like that is what you do. So that I'm clear that I'm in the right place, that I'm not thinking, does she sell sandwiches or not? Like how many times have you been on a website where you're thinking, I don't know what you do. You're my trusted advisor, but what are you advising me about? So clearly stating what you do.
And in that part, is it to highlight the pain and the solution that you do for people? Or is it like, I sell VAs? I've seen sites where it's like, I guess even your slogan on your LinkedIn sounds really cool. It's like words that make your phone ring. You didn't say, I am a copywriter. You're saying, I sell words that make your phone ring.
That's right.
Is that what you're meaning in terms of like, be clear on what you're selling in a clear way?
Well, what I'm looking for at the top of a page is for the person to be sufficiently confident that you sell literally what it is that they're looking for. Like I sell words. Good, I've got that. But I'm also wanting something aspirational, like that make your phone ring. So yes, you want copywriting, but copywriting is a feature. What is the benefit of that feature to my ideal client? Well, my ideal client wants their phone ringing. Now, I have had people take me to task about their headline because they're like, I prefer to get emails, or I want people to fill in my contact form. I'm like, I think it captures the sense that you want people to get in touch with you rather than, no, not the phone. That doesn't work for me.
I can't believe I actually asked you that.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't want the phone. I want emails or I want sales. Like, yeah, okay. Insert words that make other people do something, but that's not visual and interesting and it doesn't give you a real sense of it. Then at the top of the page, what I'm looking for is a sense that you understand me, that you know who I am. I mean, not this is my webpage, but that I, the reader, that you understand the reader, that you understand the reader's problem, and I start to get a sense that you're an authority in that. So again, in your case, for instance, yes, I think I want a VA. But why do I want a VA? I don't just want a VA because I think it would be fun to have a VA. I have an end goal. And when you start doing that Toyota style 5 whys, so you want a VA, why do you want a VA? I want more time. Why do you want more time? Because I want to do. When you get to a point that you're comfortable with, you'd be looking at a headline like, a virtual VA means that you get to cuddle your children more or go on more holidays or make more money or whatever it is that your ideal client really wants a VA for, because nobody wants what you do. They want what you do does for them. I don't want penicillin. I want the nasty rash to go away. That's what I want. And then I want to see that you understand me. So that's why you see paragraphs in good copywriting that are things like, do you find you're getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to work because it's the only time that the phone doesn't ring? Well, what about if somebody else was answering your phone? Could you get up a little bit later? Do you find that you're working late at night? Blah, blah, blah. Do you find you're doing the same thing over and over again? You're like, oh, yeah, I am. Well, you could easily train someone else to do that. That's exactly the sort of thing. And then the purpose of the page is to think through, why might somebody not buy this, right? So if my number one reason, so you've established what you do and why I might want it. And I'm going, tick, yep, okay, I'm on the right page, you do the right thing. Tick, yep, that is why I might want it. Now, as a supposedly rational human being, and none of us is rational, I'm going to start thinking about all the reasons I think you're not going to be able to do this for me, or I'm not going to want it. And I'm going to be, so if my first objection is going to be that VAs are too expensive, then I would expect you to deal with price. If my first objection is that VAs are not qualified, or they're flaky, or they work for 10 people at one time, or you think you've got one VA, but actually secretly there's 10 of them working on your account and none of them really knows you. And the client often knows that. Often the client actually doesn't know everything. So that's why one of the things that we do is interview the clients of our clients. So if we were writing a page for you, for instance, we'd speak to your clients and we'd say, well, did you use a VA before you went to Outsourcing Angel? And they might say, yeah. And you go, well, what went well with that? What went badly? Why did that relationship end? And they will tell you things that you might not have asked them, or that they might not be willing to say to you. But when we know what experiences people have had, what was the moment at which they realized they might want a VA, then you start to shape the copy to all of those things, and you understand their objections and their wants and their secret fears. Like when you're selling B2B, for instance, what a lot of people completely overlook or don't want to admit is that's a human relationship. So if you're selling to somebody in a business, you're not selling to a robot who is making rational business decisions. You're selling to someone who doesn't like the way you look, or does like the way you look, or likes where you take them out to lunch, or is worried about not getting promoted, or the last guy they used like you really screwed them over and they didn't get a big bonus that year. All of that is really human. Yeah. And when you understand that, then you can start writing to that. So we've just done a website, for instance, for somebody whose job it is to sell to people who work in public affairs. So they're PR people inside a company. Well, one of their big concerns is that they're often relatively junior people working for really senior people. So they do not want to look bad. They are very worried that anyone they bring into the organization is going to make them look bad, and that's terrible. So one of the things that you're writing to is to give them confidence that you're never going to make them look bad. You can't say it directly, like, don't worry, the CEO won't think you're a moron after you brought us in, but you're writing to that inner emotional driver of that person. And you learn that by research.
Yeah. And what happens if you kind of have different audience? So let's say the type of clients we might work with would be CEOs, right? Owners of the company, or it could be the marketing manager, or like manager people. Now, ideally, we want to go for companies that already have staff, and it could be a manager. Now, do we have to be brave enough to pick one audience and really talk to that audience, and another audience could see that that's applicable? Or do you have to always say, if you're a CEO or a marketing manager, and this, you kind of cover both, what would be your tip around multiple audience?
It would absolutely depend on the audiences, the overlaps in their interests, and whether you really have as many audiences as you think you do. Like, so a lot of the time people think they've got more audiences than they do. Like a lot of the time people think the audience is the CEO, and you're like, the CEO doesn't go looking for people like you. Get over yourself. The CEO asks somebody else to go looking for you.
Yeah, so even if you're talking to the CEO, the marketing manager could be searching for it for the CEO, right. And it doesn't matter. The
marketing manager is the one. So I often think you've got to think about your website as somebody in the organization has been told to go and find 4 providers of your service. That person is then going to go back to their boss and say, I found 4. And the boss is going to say, well, which one do you like the look of? You want to be the one that they say, I like the look of this one because I understand what they're offering, I get the benefit, and I'm confident that they'll deliver and I won't look like an idiot. That's the job of your website. So you may not be talking to as many people. If you are talking to multiple people, the trick is to keep moving along with both of them. If your audience is men and women, for instance, you might write, as a busy working mother, you think whatever, or nobody says busy anymore. You'd have to say time poor, because apparently no one can be busy anymore. They must be time poor. So as a busy working mother, you blah, blah. Well, then what you don't want to do is go on for 100 words about being a busy working mother, because now you've lost the busy working father. You can go one for one for one for one, but you just need to make sure that you're bringing both parties with you. So it's okay to talk to multiple people, but make sure you're not talking to one person at the expense of the other who will just drift away.
And how do you kind of pick, let's just say there's so many reasons to use a VA, right? It could be, well, look, you don't have to pay super or about the cost. And then there's the social side. There's this, how do you pick the best thing, the core thing that you focus on?
That's the research. It's finding out what your ideal client most wants. So you might mention all the benefits of having a VA, but what you want to do, like on a landing page, which can often be quite long, you need to be thinking, well, I might have convinced somebody by this point, in which case I have a call me button. But maybe somebody else isn't yet convinced and they'll want to know more benefits. And you do that, and then there's another call to action. But remembering with a website, for certainly most of my clients, the goal is not to get somebody to go down to the bottom of the page and say, you're right, I want a VA. Here's what I want. Here's my credit card details. Let me know when you found the VA for me. It's to get a phone call. So you've got to remember, what is the next action that your website is selling? And if your website is selling a phone call with you to get a VA, you might not need every single detail. I mean, I know you were only giving examples, but just to pick that superannuation one, for instance, I'm probably not waking up in the morning thinking, I've got to get rid of, Sue, my PA here in Sydney, because I have to pay her super. Like, that is probably not the number one thing on my mind. It's a little benefit when I'm thinking about being tipped over the edge, but you can probably get me to call you before we're down to the level of whether I'm paying super.
Yeah. And when I compare, let's say, my website with yours and a few others that I've seen, it's more text-based, right? It's kind of very it's almost like you're reading an email with heading and storytelling and all that. Is that the future of website now? In order to highlight the pain and highlight the solution, it's looking more like a copy page and not so much of graphical, boom, boom, boom.
It depends on who's coming to your website. So if people coming to your website are sophisticated buyers of your product, and all you need to say is, mine weighs 200 grams, it's 6 inches by 7 inches, and it ships in a jiffy bag, and you're like, yep, I bought 10,000 of those before, you don't need a lot of text. If you're by risk or first time, you probably need more copy. And the thing about web designers today, well, all web designers haven't been around that long, but web designers like white space, big images, filters on images, and that's all great, and that is all important. But they don't like words because words look messy. They like that white space and a nice headline and a little bit of text. But your potential customer needs as many words from you in writing as they would need in speech. So if I walked into a bar and said to the first person I saw, here are the keys to my Maserati, would you like it? Lots of people would say, yeah, fantastic. They might think there was something wrong with it. So maybe if I said, here's my Maserati, do you want to go for a drive around the block? Most people would say, yeah, that's as much as I would need to say. If I wanted to sell my Maserati to somebody in the pub, I'm going to need a lot more words to convince them to buy a Maserati. And the chances are, from a website point of view, that I'm not going to convince you to buy a Maserati on a website. I might convince you to come for a test drive. But it's how many words is it going to take your punter to get off the sofa and do what you want them to do? And most websites do not have enough words about that. And they only convert at all because their competitors' websites are equally rubbish. So if you only get 200 words on everybody's website, eventually you have to call somebody if you really want the service. But if somebody had a really good page and you went, wow, that's answered all my questions. Like, I have no objections and I'm excited now. Well, you're just going to call that person, right?
That makes so much sense, because without that understanding, I would be going, oh, that website looks like it's less right. Oh, I should copy that. Oh, that one looks long. I should go that. But you don't understand the context. And what you've explained here made me understand that there are certain things that you need to explain, certain things you don't. Like Apple, if you go in there, it's just product, pick the best product, right? But you don't have to explain how this phone even works, because it's not.
That's right.
Yeah.
Those people know. Like, I had a potential client who was saying to me the other day, he said, well, I've had a look at my competitors' websites, and, I've had a look at each of their pages. They have about 300 words on a page. So you'll be writing about 300 words a page. And I said to him, but how do you know they're doing the right thing? Have you seen the results that they got from having 100 words on a page? Have you seen the results they got from having 800 or 1,000 or 1,500 words on a page? All you know, it's like if I was the only person you'd ever see play golf and you went, well, that's how you play golf. I'm like, I can't play golf. I don't know how to play golf. Do not decide how to swing a golf club based on watching me do it. But that's what a lot of people do. I went out and looked at this stuff. Theirs was short, theirs was long. That must be correct. And it isn't. Like, I had a conversation with a French guy once. They had a landing page. It was maybe 12 words. It just said, sign up here for a free demo. And he said to me, do you want a demo? I said, how can I choose to have I know nothing about your product. I went to your website. It just says sign up here for a demo. Like, that's the shittest landing page I've ever seen. And he said to me, we used to have a much longer landing page, but all of our business now comes by referral partners. So the referral partners explain what our service is, and then they say, click here to go over to Stephen's site and sign up for a demo. So that landing page is exactly as long as he needs his landing page to be, because the people arriving at it have already decided they want the demo.
Gotcha. That makes so much sense. It's really depending on where you're driving that traffic. If it's just cold people coming in, you're going to have to do more work. If it's a lot of partnership, and would you even say, let's say if I'm doing a lot of free content on YouTube and I know people are coming from YouTube to check out my website, then that can be a reason why I don't have to explain too much, because I've already given the value. That's if I'm really coming from there. Yeah.
If you've got a relationship with somebody from LinkedIn, or you've got a referral, I mean, you know as well as I do, so, people call me all the time because they've been referred to me. They ask me nothing about my qualifications to do the job. They don't ask for examples because they've had a referral, and then they talk to you on the phone and you seem to know what you're talking about, and that they're good to go. So yeah, it absolutely depends on what somebody already knows about you, what you need to tell them, and how much they fear a bad result. If you've got particularly nervous potential clients, maybe because they've been burnt before. Like in copywriting, you often get people phoning you up saying, oh, we just had somebody do our website and they did a terrible job. So can you give us a massive discount because we've been burnt? And I'm like, well, unfortunately, you've been burnt, not me. Like, they're like, well, we spent $2,000 on this person. I'm like, well, if I give you a $2,000 discount, then I'm the one who's been burnt. Like, you can't do that. But I do deal with a lot of people who've been burnt, because we are in an industry where you can find a copywriter in any cafe in Sydney. And because all you need is a laptop and an ability to type or even dictate, and you're a copywriter. And those people are cheap. And those people are cheap because they can do it quickly and they don't have to put a lot into it. And this is the other thing. You can write something that sounds lovely, but says all the wrong things or doesn't say the right things. So people come to us, for instance, and say, look, I've written something. Can you edit it and make it better? And I say no, because without doing the research, without doing all the investigation, I won't know whether you're saying the right thing. Like, you could come to me with copy that says, all of our virtual assistants are married. They have at least 3 children. And you could write that in the most amazing way. And that sounds great. And then I find out later that nobody who hires a VA cares whether she has children or how many children she has. But you've written something beautiful about the wrong stuff.
Yes.
And that's where the research comes in. And so often you look at the client's existing website and it just doesn't say any of the things it needs to say. And as soon as it says the things that it needs to say, the change is immediate.
Yeah, I love it. This is why your copywriting service is valuable, because it's not about the writing, it's the research, making sure it speaks to the audience, the right objection. What I take away from it is you really need to think deeper. It's not just write, and really highlight the pain point and be strategic in how you write, because the longer, the shorter, or whatever it is, it really does take an expert like yourself. So how can people connect with you? And I know you're also giving away a free ebook, and you've got amazing free resources on your website. I'm always checking it out. It's awesome. So yeah, tell us all about that.
Well, we've got a free guide. So if you've heard this and you're thinking, I wonder if I could improve my own website, the answer, I guarantee you, is yes, you can. And we've got a guide that's 7 things that you could do immediately. Like, you read this guide, it's a short PDF. There will be, I would reckon, at least 3, probably 7 of the things in this guide that you could do straight away. You don't need technical skills. You could improve your website immediately. And you can get that at Taleist.agency. So Taleist is TALEIST.agency/angel. And that will take you straight to the download, and you can get it immediately. And I reckon within half an hour, you could have improved the conversion rate on your website. No problem.
Yes. There's another article that was about, I think, the 33 things that you can improve or something. It was just so much amazing tips around testimonials, and I could go on about it. So thank you so much, Stephen, for sharing.
You're welcome, Lynn.
Amazing tips.
Thank you.
So there you go. There was a lot of tips in there that I found useful, and I hope that you found useful as well. And I'm going to be busy working away on my own website to make sure that I am highlighting objections and providing the solution to my audience, as well as bringing qualified leads, because now they feel like I actually know what their problems are and they can trust me with that. So love to hear in the comments below, what are you going to do on your own website to improve it today? Now, if you want to learn more about how to grow your business, there are other videos on this channel that you can learn from as well.